Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery life on my Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus, otherwise also globally known as the Redmi Note 5. Now the phone has got a Snapdragon 625 along with 4 gigs of RAM, and the phone has also got big massive 4000 milliamp battery inside, along with this nice 18:9 ratio 5.99 inch or 6 inch full HD plus screen. So far the phone's performance has been absolutely great. 4 gigs of RAM along with Snapdragon 625 is an ideal recipe for a decent performance along with some very good battery life. As we all know, a Snapdragon 625 has been a well-known efficient chipset for the last couple of years. Okay, so now let's discuss the battery life, like I said, on the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. I've been very happy with the phone. It's been extremely hard to kill this phone in one day. That's why I've taken so long to upload the battery life video on the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's quickly get started. Again to the gallery, and from here you can see all the screenshots I've been taking for the past few days ever since I had the phone. So the good thing is, as soon as I got the phone out of the box, I had an update waiting. So as you can see, it was 9.2.6 and the global MIUI version, a stable 111 meg. So I was able to install that straight away so that I could see with the latest updates what the battery life is like. Okay, so on the very first day I left the phone on standby. As you can see, the phone was at 78%, and then the time was 23:44 on 3rd of March. And when I checked it the next day at 10:37 in the morning on the 4th of March, the battery was down to 76%. As you can see, it had only lost 2% overnight, which once again is not too bad. When it comes to standby time, Xiaomi phones have always been great. Even with the older MIUI versions on a few phones that I tested in the last few years, standby has never been a problem on Xiaomi phones. And with the Snapdragon 625, a very efficient chipset and nice optimizations by Xiaomi, MIUI 9.2 has been playing very well on standby. Here, as you can see, the battery was down to 53% at 23:54 on 4th of March, and when I checked it again the next day at 10:18, it had gone down to 50%. So overnight it lost 3%, which wasn't too bad. Once again, like I said, when it comes to standby times, they are well above the average, if not the best. Okay, eventually the battery went down to 3% after all this use, and I was able to achieve a total screen on time of 7 hours and 11 minutes. Now going back in there, as you can see, I used the phone pretty aggressively. I had the network signal all the way across, and mostly I was on Wi-Fi, if not occasionally on 3G or 4G here and there. But it took me 2 days and 9 hours to kill this battery. And this is what I want to tell you guys. In my experience so far, I am finding it very hard to kill the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus in one day. Whether you use 4G, 3G or you use Wi-Fi, this phone is extremely hard to kill in one day. I had the brightness all the way up to 80%. Normally I keep it around 60% because the LCD doesn't get as bright, especially when you're using the phone during daytime or in bright sunlight. But despite me keeping the brightness at 80%, still the phone's battery was lasting me over a day very easily without any issues, no matter how I used the phone. Okay, then eventually once again down to 25%. And here I remember I did have a bit of a mixed use, so using my social media, Twitter, Google Plus, plenty of YouTubing here as well, Instagram, Wi-Fi and everything else. And once again it took me 1 day and 14 hours to kill the battery. Eventually I was able to squeeze out 5 hours and 17 minutes of screen on time. Mind you, the battery was still down to 25%, so I would have been able to squeeze at least a couple of hours more out of it. And most of you watching this video, I'm sure you might be getting even more screen on time, like 8 or 9 or maybe 10. But I'm a bit more aggressive when it comes to phone usage. I'm a very heavy social media person, lots of YouTubing, lots of surfing and streaming. That's why my screen on time might not be able to match yours. Okay, next up here you can see the battery was once again down to 4%, and using my social media bits and bob once again, as you can see, pretty heavy usage. And once again it took me 1 day and 16 hours, and that's why it took me so long to get the video up, guys. Like I said before, this phone is very difficult to kill in 1 day, and it took me a while before I could get enough readings to come and upload a video on the phone's battery. And eventually I was able to squeeze out 6 hours and 40 minutes of screen on time. Okay, so once again another reading down to 3%, and using my regular bits and bobs. Like I said to you earlier, heavy usage once again, Wi-Fi, use the phone for GPS, a bit of satellite navigation as well. And this time here, these bars, I work in a place where the phone signal is not as strong, so normally I end up putting them on airplane mode, most of my phones. So eventually I was able to squeeze out 7 hours and 34 minutes of screen on time, which is once again very nice, if not the best. Now most of you must be thinking this phone has got the same chipset as the Lenovo P2, which I also tested last year, and this phone is still with me, and this still remains my battery champion. And can the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus beat the Lenovo P2? A simple answer is no. The P2 has got an absolutely massive, huge 5100 mAh battery inside, same chipset, same amount of RAM, but because it's got a slightly bigger battery than the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus, that's why this phone still remains the battery king. But the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus is still a very good phone. As you can see, the amount of screen on time that you're getting are way above the higher expectations from most phones around the world. So if you're planning to buy a Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus, you will certainly not be disappointed with the battery life on this phone. Once again, another reading down to 3%, as you can see, and I was able to achieve a total of 9 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time. Here I was a bit more conservative as opposed to my previous usage. I was a bit more lighter on the phone, and I wasn't as aggressive, and mostly I was in Wi-Fi. My screen brightness here was also slightly lower. I kept it around 60%, and also at night time I took it really down, so the brightness did affect the screen on time a little bit. But like I said, I am a very aggressive, heavy user, so that's why I might not be able to match the screen on time that you are normally getting, maybe around 9 hours, 10 hours, I'm not too sure. Please do let me know in the comment section of what kind of screen on times are you getting. But here on this occasion, like I said, I was able to achieve 9 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time. Okay, so once again, this was on 4G, I remember now. That's why I took a screenshot on 4G pretty much all day. It was a bit of a struggle because the time 4G is quite slow in the UK during peak hours, so that's why it took me a while to get this reading. But I did use the camera quite a lot as well, and 4G, and really pushed it to see if I was to use it 4G and camera, and also, as you can see, Google Maps here as well, how would it react with the battery. And I was able to squeeze out, as you can see, no Wi-Fi here, mostly 4G, GPS, satellite navigation, and I was able to achieve 6 hours and 1 minute of screen on time, which again is outstanding, because some phones out there, including the flagship phones from 2017 and 2018, cannot even achieve this kind of screen on time with Wi-Fi, let alone 4G or 3G or any other GSM services. So once again, very well optimized MIUI 9.2 with Snapdragon 625 on and the Redmi Note 5 or the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. Okay, so this screenshot shows you here right at the bottom 2 hours and 23 minutes until full. As you can see, the battery was down to 4%. So if your phone was at 4% and you were to use the normal box charger, it will take considerably long to charge the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus, as it's got no fast charging, which is a bit sad. However, the phone's got plenty of stamina, so I'm sure for most of you it won't be a problem if you leave the phone for charging overnight, and you can pretty much use it for the next 2 days if you're a bit more conservative. Okay, here once again the battery was up to 100% fully, and I wanted to see the standby time once again. So at 1:27 on 13th of March, and then I checked it again at 11:03 same day on the morning, and the battery had gone down to 97%, which is not too bad. Once again, like I said, way above the average standby times you get on normal smartphones out in the market. Once again, another reading, 5% battery was down to, and you can see I was, by the way, streaming a lot of Showbox movies from Showbox, a lot of Instagramming as well, and using other Google services including Chromecast and everything else, and I was able to achieve a total of 7 hours and 5 minutes of screen on time. And you can see once again, it took me 1 day and 4 hours to kill the battery on this phone. This is the one thing which at times was very annoying, because I really wanted to go on YouTube and upload a video to show you guys how good the battery is, but I can only do that once I'm able to finish a full cycle, and that's why it took me so long, because the battery in the phone is so good. It took me over a day, sometime 2 days, to collect one figure or one screenshot, a few screenshots to move on further. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys, from my side. The Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus is an outstanding phone when it comes to battery life. Performance wise, it's been very nice as well. 4 gigs of RAM and Snapdragon 625. There's plenty of poke in the phone still, despite running on an older chipset now. So if you got any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up, and like always, please subscribe as it helps, and I shall see you in the next video.